Hello, Internet! Speaking of which, nowadays we use the internet for pretty much everything. There's game walkthroughs, game reviews, truly all bases are covered. But back in the day, this sort of information came from little things called magazines. For those of you who aren't aware, magazines are like newspapers, but specific to one topic or subject. And there have been video game-centric ones ever since the early 80s, starting out with Atari Age in 1982. This was a fairly standard magazine designed to advertise Atari games, but it had some cute little bonus content like this interview with Pac-Man in the first issue. And we can't forget about the Sword Quest contests. It was this really cool series of games and comic books that contained puzzles that you could solve. And the people who won the contest actually got real gold treasure. Unfortunately, the contest was never finished due to the video game crash at the time, which was likely also the reason the magazine ran for only 2 years. But then in the late 80s we got to play with Power, Nintendo Power. Now, Atari games are as simple as you get, but on the NES, games were becoming longer, more in-depth, and a lot harder. Not to mention, people were a bit more wary about the quality of games. That's where Nintendo Power came in. It had detailed walkthroughs with a mix of screenshots and awesome hand-drawn art, as well as previews for all the new NES games that were coming out. And my favorite part has always been the Howard and Nestor comics. They depict the pair in various wacky scenarios based on Nintendo games, and they're always a blast to read. The magazines also came with a bunch of posters you could take out and hang on your wall. And at one point, they even gave away copies of Dragon Warrior with new subscriptions. Along with Nintendo Power came the similar Sega Visions, because Genesis does what Nintendo also does. Although despite going on for 5 years, it was very short-lived, with only 25 issues being printed. The magazine was fairly similar in style to Nintendo Power, with previews of upcoming games and contributions from fans. There was even a Howard and Nestor-esque comic called Niles Nemo in Sega Land. And later on they featured some promotional issues from the Archie Sonic comics. Unfortunately, it was retired in 1995, which was around when the Sega Saturn came out. Also around this time, a new competitor was entering the console wars, the Sony PlayStation. It had its own magazine as well, and it's probably the most well-known one aside from Nintendo Power. The reviews were in-depth and super helpful, and the previews and ads looked really cool and well-designed. But the best part had to be the demo discs. Issues would come with discs containing previews and demos for multiple games so you could try them out and see what you'd like to get. These things are honestly incredible, and I could talk about them all day. And those were just a few of the many video game magazines. While the internet can effectively give us everything magazines do and more, I still love them. Which is why I have so many. Uh-oh.